Hello there and welcome to the signal box today. Welcome to another episode of My Railway, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. A little bit of disappointing news to share with you first up before we get some trains running today. A little bit of disappointing news, and it's more disappointing than it is sad, but it's again another frustrating part of the hobby, and that is on the recent video you saw me completely re-wheel and put brand new con rods and pins in a Hornby 14 XX ex-Great Western auto tank locomotive, which is, as mentioned in the video, it's ex-Airfix stroke Daypole tooling, which Hornby basically did nothing with. And surprise, surprise, when I powered it up on my little workbench the other day and I put all the wheels on, it went round fine in both directions. But having tried it out on my layout this morning before I actually started this video, hence the reason I'm not going to show you it, is because I haven't thrown it away. It's actually up there back in the box where it belongs, because it is an absolute horrendous nightmare. It just will not run. I just put it on the track and basically apply power to it. It basically stalls every 10 seconds, or less than 10 seconds. I'd say every 2 seconds, to be honest. It's a mess. I've checked the back-to-back on the flanges, I've checked the pickups, the wheels I've given an extra polish and clean with some lighter fluid, and just in case there was any sort of prevention of electrical current being connected from the rails direct to the wheels. I've gone every part around that loco that I can think of, mechanically and electrically, and it basically is a heap of crap. It will not run, and this is why Hornby discontinued ever making those things, and so they bloody well should. They're just notorious for being very, very bad runners. And straight away when I put it on the track as well, the traction tyres that I fitted does create quite a wobble on the track, a rocking motion between the smoke box end and the cab end, because as mentioned before, underneath the little single wheel, underneath the bunker on it, there's a spring, as mentioned in the previous video, and it just doesn't help whether you take it out or trim it down. The whole thing is just very poorly designed, and they're notorious for being very bad runners. So even though I put new wheels on it, it just will not run. So I'm not going to get it out because it will just frustrate me, and it just is not worth it. Unfortunately, it's going to stay in the box, and that will be that. The only thing I can think of, to be honest with you, and I'll get some trains running in a minute because we're not going to go into a tangent about it, but I'll just briefly explain. There's a brand of 14 XX 00 scale locos, DJ models. They're stopped production now, but they are about, if you look on eBay and various online websites for model railways, if you're lucky to see one on there, that's the one to go for, because they are super duper. They have no problems, don't need no traction tyres. They are very, very nice models. That's why they're quite expensive. They're about, I think, well, I saw one the other day for about £189.99. Well, £190 for the sake of a penny. It's a lot of money to shell out for a 14 XX, but in the future, funds permitting, I would possibly think about doing that. But then again, for 190 quid, I can go down to my local model shop and get something decent for that money. So, you know, I don't really run 14 XXs as a rule on my layout. Although I do like the Great Western, obviously the Titfield Thunderbolt film, I don't think I'm going to be out anywhere soon trying to get a replacement. So there we go. Anyway, enough waffle, and let's get on with the railway today. Right. Bacon sandwich, mug of tea, bosh. Let's get some trains running. So we've got Daisy on track 2, the class 121 DMU. Track number 1, we've got the 9F Evening Star with a couple of coaches behind it, and why not? Okay, so I'm going to pause this video, which will seem like forever for me, but a split second by the magic of YouTube for you guys, because I'm doing a little bit of a research into this level crossing, as you see before you. I've never been quite happy with this bit here that covers obviously the single line into the depot, or the access road. It does go over the roadway, so we need to have a level crossing there. Two things I've never been 100% happy about is this scratch built decking that I've put down, and secondly it's got AHB barriers on one side, which is a bit incorrect for sort of the late 50s early 60s when this is supposed to be set, this railway, even though I do cheat and run sort of BR blue stuff once in a while. But either way, I think that level crossing needs a little bit of a makeover. So looking in my spares box, I found, because obviously I've never used this single level crossing. When I built and designed this layout, I built this with the intention of putting an additional level crossing in, which never happened. So I've got all the bits technically there. So I think what I'm going to do is try and add a much nicer level crossing there. So we'll have a go at that and we'll see what happens, and I'll see you in the next clip. Okay, so I've just removed the other side of the crossing where we had that before. I know it looks a little bit ugly, but don't worry, that'll all be filled in and painted in and put right. But I've got rid of the base basically. I'm going to leave that centre decking in the 4 foot, because that's about the right height and effect for the crossing we want. Unfortunately, the long bit you get with the crossing, it's a straight bit. It's not designed to be curved, but we can alter that. But anyway, just to give you a little follow-up to the last bit, and see you in the next bit. Okay, so as you can see, the crossing boards themselves, the on and off ramps, are in place now. I've glued them with some PVA so they've got to dry. I've packed the roadside one over there with a little bit of the old crossing material, as per prototype, and I've just trimmed off the corner of the road section there, just so it keeps that inner curve rail clear, doesn't foul it and doesn't create any derailments. I've given it a generous width also away from the running edge rail there, just in case it derails or catches anything, so that's quite generous. But I think even so, that looks a little bit better, doesn't it? It's going to look a whole lot better once I've finished it off scenic wise and painted in the road surface. And what I'm going to do as well, guys, I'm going to get some plaster material, and I'm just going to pack up that roadside where it's a bit high, so it's flush with the road, leading up to a little nice little smooth transition from the road to the level crossing itself. So I'll bring all that in anyway, so that's the main thing. It's all done, so I've just got to let that dry now really. So that's that. Okay, I've actually gone for something better. What I've done here is basically I've brought the roadway right up to the very edge of the track, which is very prototypical if you're running across roads with level crossings, i.e. there. But more importantly, little single tracks that go across the road, like for example dockyard tracks and stuff like that. And very famous example was Weymouth Harbour. Anyway, if you want to model a road that goes right up to the edge of your piece of railway track, be it double or single like mine, what you can do is that. Basically, I've used some plaster filler and brought it right up to the edge over the sleeper, just to the edge of the rail there, not over the rail, but just to the edge, as you can see there in that shot. I know it looks horrible at the moment, but you've got to think out of the box. Once I've tied this up and I've weathered it all and painted it, and it should look a little bit more nicer. And obviously we're going to mark out and put our level crossing gates on the other side once it's all dry and tidy. But the idea is, guys, is that it looks a bit more professional, a bit more nicer, and we can still put our roadway gates on the other side, which we're going to do. But I thought I'd come up with that solution. I'm quite happy with this. Again, it's got to dry, so it does look messy as mentioned, but it will look nice once it's all dry and tidied up and neatened up. It will look a bit more nicer, because I think it's better than that other piece of roadway that was on the other side. That side looks okay because it's pretty flush, as best as can be, but the other side was a bit too much, so I thought we'd go for that solution. Anyway, I'm going to let that dry and we're going to paint that in, and I'll see you in the next bit. Okay, so it's pretty much finished. Just got to do a little bit more weathering to that, and obviously the glue is drying. Give that about an hour or so to start setting properly, and the paint is obviously a little tiny bit wet, but I've taken advantage of the paint because another little trick as well, if you've got roadway, you're painting in the road surface and like that, and you want to put a little bit of grass or a little bit of vegetation on the side of the road, you don't have to really glue it. You can actually just sprinkle it onto wet paint and it will take. But there we are. It looks okay, I think, not too bad. I'm quite pleased with that. I painted the other side of the on-off ramp, which was black. I've given that a coat of the road surface colour paint. And that is it. I'm going to leave the main level crossing like that. I'm not going to paint that because it'll look horrible. And I think it looks okay like that. I think I'll have to book a possession in maybe next weekend to get a ballast train and bring it up to the crossing and drop some stone on the ramp ends of the crossing there. Now I'm starting to talk like a railwayman, my technical jargon. Ramp ends, or flying ends, as we used to call it on the P-way, which is the side, either side of a bridge or of a level crossing. As you can see, we've got a few empty beds there. Stop it. Empty sleepers, no. Empty cribs, no. Beds. Empty beds, I call them, because that's what I used to call them when I used to be a patrolman. Yeah, the gaps between the sleepers, or the sleepers that have got no stone in, or the space between each sleeper was called a bed or a crib. Anyway, it needs some stone there, so I think we'll have to book a ballast train in next weekend, come in and just drop some stone on a possession on those ends there and bring that up. Definitely, that's a job I've got to do next weekend, so I think we'll book a possession in for that. And the other ends aren't too bad really, they're okay. It's just the other end there he's doing. Yep, so we'll book a stone train in, I think, and drop some stone there. And yeah, that's that. But yeah, I'm looking pleased with that. That don't look half bad, does it? I know it looks a little bit knobbly and uneven there, but I've done that on purpose because I want it to look like someone's obviously built that up and you know, made it look a little bit like an uneven surface. But I think once that dries completely, it's still very wet at the moment to touch, but that don't look bad. I'm quite pleased with that. But the main effect is that what I like about that bit of the crossing there now is that the road surface comes right up to the edge of the rail there, as you can see, like that, and that looks much better. I think so. We've got a little bit of grass growing over the edge of the track there into the 4 foot as per prototype. Yeah, I think that looks okay. If you're wondering what that square patch is there, that's where the little hut was there. I'm going to put that back in a minute. But yeah, that's that all done. So I can't really do much with that. I can run trains across there, but the gates have got to dry. And obviously on a hot day that we've got at the moment over in the UK, I've got a fan that I've just switched off. My I call it my airboat fan. You know those fans you get in the, if you go to a gym something like that. There's big square fans. I've got one of those things there. They're really, really good. Not just because it keeps me cool, but also it actually dries things a lot quicker in this room where I've got it set up temporarily each time. The other little trick you can do as well, here's another little shout out to you guys out there that are doing a little bit of modelling involving paint or plaster on your layout. Letting it air dry naturally is always great. Having a fan in the room helps, but if you want to speed it up, do what I did. Get a hairdryer and just go over it with a hairdryer. That's another little quick tip. It dries it quicker. Enough to be touch dry, and then obviously underneath it's still drying, but enough to work with. Anyway, I think I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to fiddle with that no more, because if I do, the gates will fall down because they're still drying. I haven't super glued though. I'm actually using PVA on there, so there's no super glue involved in that. I'm using PVA, which is pretty strong once it dries, and that is it. Quickly before I go, I was going to say I was really glad that I actually had this in my spares box. I was so glad I had this, because I thought I'm never going to use this, or one day it might come in handy, and there we go, it has come in handy. So I'm very pleased that I'm able to utilise those parts today and improve that level crossing definitely. Okay, I'll probably do a little bit more running in a little while, which will be like the next clip for you guys watching this playback. So sit tight and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so as you can see from the photograph here in this book I've got from my library, which is all about level crossings, which I'll just show you the front cover if I can. There we go. So that's the book. If you want to know who it's by, that's who it's by, Stanley Hall and Peter von der Mark. It's all about level crossings in the UK and around the world, mainly in Europe and more so in the UK. It's a good reference book for me because I used to be a crossing keeper when I first started on the railway. One of my jobs was I was rest day relief crossing keeper. I used to look after level crossings. The type of level crossings I used to look after were the ones that you saw on my model railway in the previous clip with the old-fashioned swing gates. So I was just looking at this picture here. These things with the red and white checked pattern around them, we used to call those warblers or wigwags. They're basically the coloured light signals that go off, and there is an alarm that accompanies the flashing to tell you there's a train coming. The barriers normally go down, or in the case of this crossing in the picture, there's no barriers. It's just flashing lights and a siren. And obviously in the highway code of the UK, if you look up, it tells you the road regulations and rules, what you should do around level crossings and what you shouldn't do. But sadly, a lot of people don't follow the rules, and there's lots of fatalities and death, and they then blame it on the railway for the death of their family or loved one because of their stupidity. Not. Anyway, looking at those, what I've done is replicated the best I can in miniature over here. I've got some wigwags, I'll say it in a minute, wigwags that I've painted up. Again, these are the Hornby accessories you get with that level crossing that I just put in earlier, but I just brighten them up. I know they're not 100% perfect, but they give the impression of wigwags, and they're going to go on the level crossing on either side of the road, like that picture there. And there's one on each side, even though it's a road layout with traffic on the left and to the right, both directions, but you need one on the other side in case your view is obstructed as a motorist, anyway, or cyclist. So there we go. Just want to show you that really quickly, and I'll go and stick these on the level crossing and we'll see how they look. Okay, so there's our wiggy wags in position either side of the gate there, and the crossing itself, I've added a little bit more vegetation in the 4-foot area either side of the gate. Haven't gone too bad over the top, not too mad with it, but just enough there for a little bit of a nice effect. As you can see, that's looking all right. I'll just come over this way with the camera so we can hopefully see a better shot. I'll move a few things out of the way while I don't have an accident. I should be able to get a shot there. like a drone shot. That don't look too bad, does it? Okay. I think it looks better. I don't know about you guys, but I think it looks better. I know the road surface could be a little bit more smoother, but if I wanted to, I could put some more filler and tidy that up. But I think I'm going to leave that as it is. You can always put a little bit more grass and vegetation around the roughest bits, if you know what I mean. But other than that, I like it. I'm quite happy with that effect. Yeah, that's brilliant. So just before I close this video today, I did say I was going to run some trains, but I ended up getting involved in a bloody level crossing possession. It's just like the real thing. What I'm going to say is another quick little tip out there, or an idea perhaps for you modelers out there. Because don't forget, we don't always model 00 or HO scale. Some of us model 009. Not 007, because that'd be James Bond. But 009, for those of you who don't know what 009 is, 009 is narrow gauge. It's like the lovely Welsh Festiniog stuff. Lovely. And if you want to model like a tramway or a narrow gauge railway that goes across the road, or anywhere you've got an inlaid track, as it's called, you can use what I've done, this technique. You can just use some household filler, what you do for masonry work, so you can get it and just bring it up to the edge of the rail. The key thing is not to get any plaster or material either on the railhead or inside the flange, which is basically the area between the sleepers inside the rail. You don't want to do that, otherwise you won't get electrical connectivity and you'll get derailments. Whereas if you do it up to the edge of the rail on the outside, that's perfectly fine, because there's nothing really, it shouldn't be interfering with that. Unless you're modelling sort of third or fourth rail electric units with the shoe beams, obviously you don't want the road surface sticking up because it will catch the shoes of a train. But if it's parallel flush to the top of the sleeper, like what I've done there in that top shot, I think it looks quite good. And it is very realistic. It's very prototypical actually. So there we are. That's that. And it's still going to need a little bit more weathering and a few bit more details with that. I'm thinking dropping in some flowers over in the corner there by the fence, and some wildflowers growing there, some bluebells maybe. We need to make up some wicket gates. Wicket gates, nothing to do with cricket wickets, but the wicket gate is like a pedestrian gate on a old-fashioned style level crossing there for the pedestrians only. So we need to really think about that idea. Maybe not. I like it as it is actually, to be honest. But yeah, there we go. So I think I'm going to love and leave you, and I do apologise for our very short service today. I did not honestly plan things to go the way they did with the railway video today. I honestly wanted to run some trains and get things going. I'm going to play trains maybe later on, but in actual, to get a video out to you guys, I do sincerely apologise for not getting things running today with loads of trains, but I will be back definitely next week, and not only will this lot have all dried, but also I think next week possibly my yard lamps are coming in the post all the way from China, literally on a slow boat from China, no pun intended. It said next week or the week after they're due, so I need to replace that yard lamp which is closest to the loading gauge. That one, that kiddie there behind the loading gauge next to the loading dock, that one has blown, so I need to change that one. And I've ordered the exact same light, so I'm going to put in one there, and I think there's a pack of 5 that you get in a pack, so I'm going to have a couple spare, so I might put some more in. Again, you never know. Another little project for another day. But in the meantime, once again, guys, I'm so sorry that I didn't do enough trains today. I literally got caught up with this project here. But as the afternoon sun is winding down and it's nice and quiet on the railway, a gentle breeze blows across the track. and across me because it's bloody hot in here. And I think it looks very good. Yeah, I'm very happy with that. In actual fact, I would go as far as to say, if you're modelling a country lane, I mean, this isn't really a lane, it's like a little short country road into a village, but if you're modelling sort of a very sort of quiet country lane up to a railway line, and you want to put in a crossing, there's another option for you. You don't have to use the Hornby moulded level crossing or the on and off ramps. You can actually use plaster on either side of the track. If it's straight track, even better. Or if it's curved track like mine, you can do the same thing. You can actually just have a transition of plaster right up to the rail edge, and then profile it with some sandpaper once it's dry, a bit of wet and dry sandpaper, vacuum it off, dry brush to brush off the excess, paint it, that 2-coat should do it, and away you go. But I think it's a nice little realistic little effect. Anyway, I shall say goodbye. Thanks for watching today. Once again, I'm so sorry for the short video, and I want to say big hi to all my regular viewers and subscribers. If you're new to the channel and you like what you see, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. I'll be back next week in another episode of The Signal Box. See you soon. Take care. Goodbye.